What's up, man? We're gonna have we're gonna have Bill on today. He is hosting us for this Veterans REI project, which I'm extremely excited about. Although my guess is, when are you gonna release this? Is this gonna come out? This has got to come out before the event.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm speaking about Burr. So anybody who wants to learn about Burr, buy your tickets, come see me speak, and then I already have planned to take over this entire interview because Bill is doing flipping. I'm a new flipper, and so I'm just gonna make this whole thing about myself.
Perfect. Well, I don't really know what else I need to say. If you don't know who Bill Allen is, you should, and you will when you're done listening to this. Bill was on my show about a year ago, before Alex was a piece of this, and before Bill had taken over Seven Figure Flippers. And so this is going to be entertaining because at the time, Bill was Bill, and now Bill is a much bigger deal with a much he's just got a really cool brand. He's doing very, very good things. And honestly, I went to his event last year, and just very impressed by what he does and who he is as a person. So it was really cool to be able to get him back on the show. And yes, we are going to release this before the virtual event. So if you haven't got your tickets, the link will be down in the show notes. The Veterans REI Live, which was going to be in St. Louis, now it's going to be virtual, but we've got a whole bunch of veteran real estate investors talking about what they do. I will be talking about networking and content marketing.
You're listening to the Military Millionaire Podcast, a show about real estate investing for the working class. Stay tuned as we explore ways to help you improve your finances, build wealth through real estate, and become a person that is worth knowing.
What's up, everybody? It's Dave from the Military Millionaire Podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, Alex Felice, and the Mr. Bill Allen, who, for those of you who don't know, if you don't know who Bill Allen is, he is now the head of Seven Figure Flippers, which puts on Flip Hacking Live, which is an incredible event that I went to last year. But he's also a Navy pilot, still in the reserves, obviously a veteran, and runs a extremely successful business, wholesaling, flipping, and I could probably go on and on. Bill is just an impressive individual. So I'm going to shut up and let him take it away. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me back. I remember the first one of these we did. It was a while ago. So lots changed since then, I think. So,
yeah, let's hear a little bit about that. Well, you had not taken over Seven Figure Flippers at that point. So could you kind of walk us through, well, I guess a little bit about yourself and where you're at right now?
yeah, I think when we talked last, I was the COO for the company before that. And so if you know anything about the company, we help other wholesalers and house flippers basically kind of like unlock freedom is kind of the concept that I've created since I've taken over. It used to be just, let's figure out how to get them to make more money. And when I realized a lot of people come in, it's not necessarily about money, that starts that way, but some people want a company that does, 20, 30 houses. Some people want a company that does $10 million. So everybody's a little bit different. So that the name Seven Figure Flipping, a lot of times people think like, do I already have to be doing seven figures? What does it look like? So we just basically get together and mastermind and help figure out how we can share different concepts, different strategies and things like that. Help systemize our business. So we kind of, design our own life. Right. So it was June or July of last year. It was June of last year, 2019, when the owner, Justin Williams, he came to me and he said, hey, it's about time for me to start thinking about doing something else. I'm thinking about selling the company. Would you be interested in buying it? And we talked a little bit and came to a deal and an agreement. And sure enough, by July 1st, I own the company, and I had to come up with a plan to get a live event together in 3 months and make changes and redesign all the logos and make it my own. So I spent a lot of countless hours working on that in July, August. I still remember it was tough, but we put on a great event, Flip Hacking Live. You were there, Dave, so you saw it. I think it turned out really, really well, and we're obviously prepping for that now. So that's what that company looks like. And my real estate company, pretty much same thing that we talked about before. My COO is running it. He's an animal. He's awesome. And there's not a lot that I have to do over there. So it's kind of, he's running it day to day. And now I'm working, 60, 70 hours in the Seven Figure Flipping company.
Yeah. I will say on Flip Hacking Live that as far as events go, content-wise, that was probably the best event that I've been to. It's probably the only event that I've been to where I've actually sat in all the sessions. So it was very well done.
Well, that's by design a lot of times. So the reason people don't sit, if you run an event or you go to an event, when you get a program and it has every topic and at a time that they're speaking, you'll look in there and say, I don't really need to see that. I'm going to go take a call during this one. And so I specifically designed the event not to tell people exactly who's speaking, what the topics are, things like that. This is the sessions, because what I found is a lot of times we don't know what we need when we come to events like that, and it's very easy to miss something. So if you ever come to any of my events or anything that we do, I'll apologize ahead of time. I'm not going to tell you who's speaking when. I'm not going to answer you when you ask me, like, when is this person on? Because I know that what you're doing when people come to an event, they look at the program, they're like, what event can I skip? And sometimes, like, that one thing, you need that one thing, and you don't know what it is. If you knew what it was, you don't even need to go there. Like, you would have already figured it out. Like, you came there to get the epiphany, to get that thing, that one little tip that's going to change your business, and you could miss it. So I highly recommend, if you're going to pay the money, you're going to fly out to these events, attend the whole thing, like, sit through it. And I've gotten up and left, but at least I check the speaker. Like, if the speaker is not holding me, it's just not good, then sure, maybe I'll make a transition. But it's my job to figure out how to, like you said, put every speaker on there that's going to hold your attention and give you content. So same thing with the event that we have coming up. So
I need that so badly, because I go to conferences, and for me, it's just vacation. Let's go hang out at the bar for 3 days straight. And I go to very few sessions generally, and probably to my detriment.
Yeah, so I was that way too. I love going to events, but the interesting thing is I'm more of the fact seeker. I'm more of like the knowledge. I take the notebook there, and I just take notes and notes and notes and notes. And then there's people who just want to network. Like, they go there, they want to talk. Like, they're just people. They're just people, right? And it's not that. So you guys, you're going to be over by the bar. You're going to be chatting. You're going to be like, I can get more out of this in small groups than I can in one-to-many presentations. So I understand that. That's why we try to structure it where we have a lot of that built into for those people. But a lot of time, and that might be what you think you need. So it's our job as we put on events like that to figure out how do we hit the 80%? Like, how do we make 80% of the people happy? And how do we make sure that we, deliver, and it's set up to deliver that content correctly? Like, Dave, you probably saw, like, I take 7 months to design that event and plan it. And we throw ideas out and we scrap them, and then we change it. And even before the event, like, we're still fine tuning it the day before, we're fine tuning the program and like making changes. And then in real time, we're making changes, but it has to build a certain way, and it's by design. Like, this speaker, then this speaker, they build on each other, or these concepts or strategies or structure of real estate investing. And if you just throw the speakers in there randomly, the audience doesn't feel like they're watching almost like a movie or like a play, right? You're seeing 3 days that it's building on itself and kind of going up and going down. So I have an awesome event planner. Like, without them, I would just be like throwing stuff at the wall, right? I'm not that smart. So
also, I dream that one day I'm cool enough to have an intro video like yours was for the event. That was solid. Yeah. I was watching your intro video. I'm like, man, like, getting pumped. I'm like, hey, I know this guy. Hey, who's this? Whoa. Oh, Superman. And anyway, so yeah.
I agree. My videographer did an awesome job on that. I told him what the concept, what I just said, like, I want this song. And then he came up with the whole concept, did it all. The first time I saw it was like it was like 11 o'clock the night before, because we worked nonstop on that. And it was good. I agree. He did an awesome job. Andre's amazing. So.
Speaking of videography, talk to me about YouTube.
That is a very broad question. So talk to you about YouTube. So I don't know anything about YouTube.
You got a YouTube show coming out.
We do have a YouTube show coming out. So, it wasn't necessarily designed for YouTube, because so I'm trying to learn YouTube. So I think social media is interesting, right? So every channel is a little bit different. So I've done some Facebook Lives where I'll go publish on Facebook. And the interesting thing that I find about Facebook is it's just like a newspaper, where it's just like, you don't go read the newspaper from last week or 2 days ago or last month. People don't save newspapers. They throw them out, right? So your content just goes down and down and down on Facebook. So my live stream is great. I get views. Unless I boost it or I pay traffic and run ads to it, that content is gone. Like, nobody's watching reruns of my talk show, right? And so Instagram, I'm working on that. I'm trying to figure that out a little bit. My team just forced me over there. I have 200 friends on Instagram, or followers, whatever you call it. So like, I'm trying to figure that out personally, right? And that's a little bit different. Like what goes over there where people are following hashtags and seeing images and different things. And then I think the interesting thing about YouTube is a place where it's more like a sitcom. It's like a Seinfeld area where people can come and like watch your stuff and watch your shows, and they can watch reruns and they can see all these different things. So the concept here where we created the show, like we created the show before we decided where to put it, right? So the concept for the show was we have all these amazing members that are doing really cool stuff. And so what can we do with that? Like, how can I have this great videographer who, like Dave said, he produced this awesome intro. I specifically hired him. He's my lead manager in my other company. She's now my sales manager in my real estate company. It's her husband. When I bought the company, I said, I need somebody to do this retirement video that I want to create for the previous owner as a gift. And we created this thing, and I was like, this is so awesome. Like, how can I hire you full time? And we figured it out. I moved him up here to Nashville. He quit his other job, brought him in full time. And so now we said, okay, what can we do? And so we're creating the show about a guy who's been flipping houses in 7 days, like $30,000, $40,000 rehab houses in 7 days. We created the show. And I said, where should we put it? How should we do it? And I've been personally playing around with YouTube with some of the CARES Act, PPP stuff. And I've been able to get, 5,000 views on a video of mine, a couple thousand views. When we only have we had like 100 subscribers then. So I was like, what works? Like thumbnails, content. Like I played around with it for months, right? So behind the scenes of everything, like you see, we could get into conceptually what happens in business too. You see this person who's like this overnight success, but they've been working nonstop at it to try to figure it out. Like I've been putting in the time on my own, trying to figure it out, reading about it, researching it, all this stuff. So we had this video that came out, and I saw the video and I said, I saw the first 3 episodes, like rough cut of them. And I said, holy smokes, like this is better than I thought it was going to be. Like I knew it was going to be good because I know the videographer, but it is, I feel like we have pulled the curtain back from HGTV, like we're going to make this much money. And we put real life people, real life house flipping into it'll be 10 to 12 episodes. And I said, okay, what are we going to do with this? Like, how are we going to roll it out? What's the launch strategy going to be like? Where does it go? How do we drive traffic to it? And it doesn't make sense to put it on Facebook or Instagram or any of these other places. Like YouTube seems to be the only place to house something like this. People can keep going back to it. They can watch it. It's almost like you can binge on Netflix just like you can on these YouTube videos. So, and then it'll recommend the next one. So anyway, long answer to your very short question of tell me about YouTube. That's kind of how I landed on YouTube for this show and like the idea and concept that I have for it. And I can tell you like how I plan to launch it if that's where you want to go.
No, actually the evergreen binge piece is the piece that I've been focusing on for 6 months. Now I do my own videography and I'm kind of doing my own flips. I don't have I'm behind where you are, it sounds like, but I'm ramping up extremely fast for those same reasons. I like that it's evergreen. I like that it's binge worthy. And I like that, all I do is reel. So I figure over time, YouTube is a tremendous magnet. So no, what I was curious was that was my strategy. And so it sounds like, well, if you're right, then I'm right.
We'll find out if I'm right. But I think the answer here is like each piece of content, there's a different strategy for what you're creating. And like I see the problem that I have is I want to do it all, right? I want to be like, okay, I got this thing at Facebook, I got YouTube, we have Instagram, we have like, what do we do with it all? Like, where does it go? We don't use all the other stuff like TikTok and Periscope and all this other stuff that people are also, or Twitter. Like I'm not on Twitter. I just don't understand that platform. It's just not, and the problem that I have is if we lose focus on that, like right now in podcast. So I have a podcast and the podcast is probably our number one traffic source. Like number one traffic source for me is my podcast. So when we started getting in YouTube, I just said, well, why don't we just take our podcast and we record video just like this. Why don't we post it on YouTube? People are going to watch it, right? No, they're not. Like they're not just going to watch an hour-long podcast of me doing an interview on there. It's my talk show, right? Like people are going to listen to it in the gym and carry around. So some people will watch it on YouTube. And you know who does? It's the people who are on YouTube that are also like follow us already. It's not like new subscribers and new traffic that are going to watch that. And then, so we played around with thumbnails and I was like, man, we are not cracking this code. So you got a couple options. You can quit or you can figure out, okay, what's the strategy now? So now what we do is we're building up pressure. Like I want to build up pressure for the show and then I want to launch it. So like my plan for this is I'm going to launch it on Monday night at 8 o'clock Central. And like, I have a community of people that follow me that will follow us. That Tyler Jensen is the guy in Salt Lake City who's doing it. And they'll be watching with us. I'll be commenting on there. We'll be talking. We'll launch it like a premiere, like a live premiere. And it'll be scheduled. It'll all be ready to go. And then the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to do a YouTube live later in the week to talk about that episode. So an episode's going to drop once a week, and it'll be the same time, same week, premiere once a week. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like it's not done yet. I don't know if it's, but I'll tell you, the content is so good that I'm excited about the future of it.
Well, the other cool thing, I mean, you both mentioned evergreen, and you're spot on, because I've got a video that still gets like 40 views a day, and it's over a year old, and I'm nothing special on the video. But the other big thing with YouTube is that it's owned by Google. So it's the second largest search engine in the world. And so you can rank videos on YouTube that show up. And so I've got a video or several now where if you type in, whatever keyword, my face pops up as the video above my blog even does for that. So yeah, YouTube's huge if you get the right content. And so I think that'll do very well.
Sorry. Also, YouTube works on momentum. So the bigger you get on YouTube, the more that YouTube drives people to you. And so it's a persistence game for sure. I got a buddy who's been doing it, and he's just doing talking heads, but he's been doing it long enough now. And it's like, well, he got 2,000 subscribers and then got 5,000 really quick. And now he's up to 25,000, and it's making him real money. And he's not doing anything different. It's just, I think YouTube doesn't want to reward the people who have been doing it for 3 months. They want to reward the people who've been doing it for 3 years. For that exact reason, because they want you to have enough content so they can go back and binge.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that just, if anybody's listening and wants to get into content creation, the thing is that I found is you expect a result right away. And that's the problem that we have a lot of times. What I think you want to do is you want to just constantly publish and create stuff and put content out there and see what works and see what doesn't work and test different things. Like I was testing different thumbnails. I took my iPad and for my CARES Act stuff, I just wrote words on there to create different thumbnails. Like if you go to our 7-Figure Flipping YouTube channel, you'll see I have a CARES Act section where I was talking about PPP, the 10. I basically was creating those videos for my community anyway. I was going to drop them in my private Facebook group for our mastermind members and in my public Facebook group. And I said, you know what? I'll drop them in there, but I'll just put the link from YouTube in there. Like put on YouTube. And there's one that like 5,000 people found it. So then I'm like, okay, what did I do? What did I write in the description? Learn more and more about it. But the thing is with content is like how many, there's a marketing guy that I follow. His name's Russell Brunson. You guys may have heard of him, but he talks a lot about this is just publishing is so important because how many Netflix shows did you hear about on season 5 or season 6? And then you go back and watch season 1, right? The same thing with content publishing. Like you talked about, Alex, like it take 3 years sometimes to get going. But if you stop creating and stop publishing, then your show never makes it to season 2 or season 3. So people will go back to season 1. So what I'm telling people right now is season 1, episode 1 of this, because this is not going to be the end of this by any means for me. Like we already have plans to shoot the next show and the show after that. And we're like, I have 4 shows on the storyboard right now that we're going to create 10 or 12 episodes. So I know that the people that now I'm going to get in front of season 1, episode 1, how many shows, when did you drop off of 24? Season 5, season 6, season 4? Like everybody, when did you stop watching Lost? Season 4, season 5, season 7? But everybody stops watching it. But who didn't watch season 1, episode 1? Everyone watches it. So it's interesting to think about that. And as I'm talking to people who are being involved in this and maybe could have a little piece of this, that's the conversation that I'm having with them because I don't know how big it's going to get, but I'm excited about it. I think it's got some legs. And I don't usually feel like everything that we do, I'm not as usually as excited about it as I am this.
Well, and it's exponential, like you said. Like my channel has grown over 30% in the last month. And it's just as it gains momentum and as you get better at it, but as you gain
well, that's because you brought Alex on.
Well, I walked into that.
Post that on Instagram. That's a quote. That's a content piece right there.
Yeah, there's definitely the short clip that we can.
Thank you for everything you do for me, oh humble pink shirted one. Oh my gosh! But you're right though on the YouTube video. So Alex, you'll appreciate this on Tuesday and Thursday next week. Scott Trench is going to have 2 more. I basically took small clips 2 different clips out of that podcast to post them, because I had the same realization that Bill had, where like nobody watches the full podcast. So I'm trying to play with taking clips out of those to put up little YouTube video, like Bill Allen talks about this, and just like that clip to see how those do as well.
Well, the other
Yeah,
great thing to do with those smaller clips is you take those and then you repurpose them on the platforms where people will watch a minute. So we'll take a minute of something and put it on Instagram and or under a minute, and then we'll take some other stuff and put it on Facebook, or I'll run a Facebook ad. So I will create content from the YouTube TV show, whether it's a trailer for the next episode or the trailer for the first episode or something. We'll create that specifically for another platform, or that that can repurpose on both platforms. But I can't put an hour-long TV show on Facebook. Just put yourself in, like, what are you doing when you're watching that stuff? Like, you're sitting at your computer watching YouTube, and you're not just going to sit there for an hour. Like, most of the people that are scrolling on Facebook are like, unfortunately, they're like on the toilet usually. So I think about that when I'm running ads for my company too. We run ads for our house buying company. So what are people doing? They're usually in bed. Like, if you don't have subtitles, like, who turns the audio on? Just think about how you use it. How do you use the platform, and what's the purpose of it? And then what do the owners of the platform want to do with it? Like you said, Google owns YouTube, so they want to turn it into a search engine. So what does your description say? What do your titles say? Like, how do people find it? So that's what I had to realize. I was like, I don't even write anything in the descriptions. Well, I do now. I write very specific keywords and to make sure that it's. I played with keywords nonstop for like a month with that CARES Act stuff to try to figure out, and that's when that one kind of took off. And so I said, okay, I got something here. I'm starting to understand it.
Ooh, I got an email yesterday. I got the loan.
Nice.
I don't think I'm taking it though. They offered me a whopping $4,000 with a 30-year payback. And I'm like, I don't feel like owing the government for 30 years for something that's not going to make a dent in my finances. So I'm going to go ahead and say thanks, but I'm going to be okay.
It's also important to note that Facebook and YouTube are competitors. So if you post your YouTube content on Facebook, it ranks low as far as I'm told, because they don't want you leaving Facebook to go to Google, essentially.
Yep. That makes sense. Yeah. And the same thing with ads on Facebook. Like, Facebook is definitely going to prioritize my ad if I run it and keep them on Facebook instead of driving them to my website. So you really have to think about where you're driving your traffic, how you're capturing their information, and all that stuff plays into your strategy with all of it. So
let's talk about the event.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we moving to the event now? Sounds like we're moving to the event.
Yeah. Well, before we do that, you have a YouTube channel, so I want to. My show is going to be called the 7-Day Flip. So I'm going to try to run ads on David's platform towards my YouTube channel. So, but I think it's going to be really fun. Like that. That's going to be fun. Like I think a lot of your listeners. I think anybody can watch it. I think like if somebody's watching HGTV right now, I'm hoping that we could create like a platform that's going to just crush them, because this is like real people flipping houses. And I'm excited to see what you put together too. And I'm sure we can learn a lot from each other with that. It sounds like I've been watching your videos. Like I said, I subscribe to your channel. I'm watching. The biggest thing right now, if you're getting into content creation or what you're doing, whether you're a podcaster or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever, think about like, just focus on one. My recommendation is start there and then figure out like, what is your strategy and build it out. So like I have a production strategy for our 4 channels of production is like, how do we produce that? What kind of content are we doing? And what's our delivery schedule? Like Tuesday and Thursday, my podcasts come out Tuesday and Thursday. Everybody should know that. Those are the days. That's it. That's our publishing program. So I hack the pros. Like I'm watching everybody. If somebody's got a bunch of followers, I go follow them and I say like, what are they posting? What's working? Same thing in Instagram. I'm trying to figure out Instagram right now. So I only follow like 20 people, but I follow the 20 people that are in my like dream 100 that I'm watching what they're doing. I'm seeing it and I'm saying what's working, what's the most likes that they're getting, what's happening. And then I'm can I recreate that stuff? So try and figure it out.
Alex, it sounds like you need to go watch Bill's video so you can learn how to record stuff.
I subscribed. Well, like I said, I do videography. So for me, this is both a challenge in real estate, but it's also a creative challenge for me, storytelling through video, because I wouldn't hire I can't hire a videographer yet, but I also like the creative aspect. So for me, it's more there's a deeper personal endeavor, a challenge, the video storytelling. But so part of my channel is me learning videography, but also telling stories about real estate. What's interesting though, about the way you described your story, what you're trying to produce is I have been quietly producing a 12-part series for Bigger Pockets about real investors, where we do probably not the same as you, but similar with people with different backgrounds. And we're trying to do, HGTV for real estate investors instead of HGTV for homeowners. So I don't know that you sound like you have a great video production guy. So I'm still kind of new at it, but it's one of those things where I don't care about season 1. I care about season 6. And so I'm playing for season 6.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right.
It sounds like we're doing something pretty similar. Like, that's like, I want to show real estate investors like what's possible. We're not going to dive into put the thing up there of they bought it for this. It's really about like just showing, like, we want to challenge the status quo. Like, can these guys get a house flipped in 7 days that has $40,000 renovation costs? Like, can they do it? And then show you how, and show you it's actually happening. This is real life. And I mean, they had some crazy things that happened. There was an earthquake in Salt Lake City. The coronavirus happened. It was a meth house. The government was shut down. Like, all of this crazy stuff happens inside of here. I mean, the cool thing is we don't reveal whether they got it done until the end. So we'll see.
I like it. All right. So, Veterans Live. Talk to me. I mean, that's my vague Alex style question. Did I?
Yeah, this is an interesting interview here. It's like YouTube. Tell me, Veterans Live. Tell me. So, it's funny because the 3 of us on this call are actually speakers at this event, and we're actually talking about like kind of Dave's presentation, right? This content marketing side of things, right? And becoming a publisher. And so, I don't know when it was, but it was probably like 6 months ago. It was probably 4 months ago. It was like, hey, we've got all these veterans, all these active duty military folks, like building their own communities, it seemed like in a little silo. And we were kind of working together, kind of not, but everybody kept telling me, like, I want to do a live event. We should do a live event. I want to do a live event. And I was like, okay, well, when? Just go do it. And they're like, wow, I don't know how to do it. I don't know any of this stuff. The typical objection, right? To just go out and do it. It's like, I don't know enough. I need to learn more. And I said, well, I've done a bunch of live events, so why don't we just figure it out? If we put it on the calendar, we schedule it, and I book a place, and I get a hotel, and I put my money at risk, and kind of the field of dreams concept, right? If we build it, they'll come. So people will show up. And we did that. So May 29th and 30th, we booked a hotel in St. Louis. And we started saying, okay, who's going to talk? Who's going to speak at this? Who do you guys know? And we wanted it to be something, initially the concept was more of like, the attendees will primarily be military folks, right? Veterans, active duty, reservists. And now we kind of have said, does it matter? Like we had to take it virtual, obviously, with COVID-19. I remember our first call all together. We're like, forget it. It's no big deal. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep going. And I made the deposit on the hotel, and sure enough, it did become an issue, right? We couldn't travel. I mean, the DOD, I can't even go back down to Pensacola from Nashville until after June 30th. I can't even go back to my reserve unit until July at the earliest right now. So it's just not going to happen. So we went virtual, and all these speakers, we went out and we kind of created a list. We put the call out and said, do you want to speak at this? What would you speak about? What's your topic like? And we had like this draft picks, right? Kind of had a list of 1, 2, and 3. And the first person that we reached out to said yes in every niche. And we basically just found, like, what would somebody who is interested in real estate investing, is coming out of the military, or is just getting started, or an experienced investor who might be looking at a different channel. And we're treating it we brought in kind of the experts from each industry, or each niche inside of real estate, I should say. And they're going to speak on their topic. So on the thing that they're really good at, tell their story a little bit, talk about, teach some of their concept, their topic. And then we got 20 sessions over 2 days. And I'm excited about it. I'm pumped about it.
We don't have to lie to Alex. We can tell him he was the 4th or 5th pick.
Save the best for 4th.
Yeah. So I'd say Dave, like, I don't know you guys well enough to really rib on you that much, but Alex does seem to be like the guy. I picked up on a few things, so I just like to jump in. The interesting thing is, so I reached out to Dave, and and Stu Grazier. So Stu and I know each other from the Navy, from the fleet. We were both helicopter pilots over in San Diego. And I know they were building communities and stuff like that. So they jumped in to help, and some of the other real estate folks that have some bigger networks. And I said, who do you guys know? Because I only knew a handful of people. I could put together an event of 3 or 4 people that I know who were active duty or vets. And fortunately, they knew a bunch of people. And we kind of just said, okay, what do we want? What kind of topics do we want? Then who do we want to go after? And everybody said, yeah. And they're showing up. And I know he's giving you a hard time, Dave, but Alex, you were obviously the first pick. So I think it's great. I mean, the people that we have speaking are amazing. They're doing some incredible things, and they're not all of them are necessarily the biggest player in that industry, but their story is directly relatable to a vet. Like, they know what the veterans have gone through. Like, we didn't go out to the #1 podcast or the #1 coach or the #1 thing like that. Like, it's more about like motivating and inspiring people based on their story, and they know the audience, they know the people that we're trying to get across to, and they're going to be, it's going to be amazing. So I'm excited. I think just right now, in all honesty, like, the struggle is when you have something really, really good. We talked about publishing and content creation, right? When you have something that's really, really good, the struggle is, how do you get it out there? Like, how do more people find out about it? How do you get something like this in the hands of everyone? Because it's not expensive, it's cheap to show up. You get all the recordings. You can go back and reference it on a regular basis. You don't even have to be there. And 100% of the money goes to charity. Not like 100% of the profits, not like 100% of like the money that comes in minus paying me for my time and Dave for his time and Stu for and all the speakers and travel and all that stuff. Like, the speakers paid to buy a ticket to the live event. And then I asked them if they wanted their money back, and nobody asked for their money back. They said, just put it towards a charity. This is really amazing to see that kind of dedication. So, we just agreed on the charity that we're going to push the money towards, and it's a charity called the Veterans Community Project, and they build tiny houses for homeless veterans, and it's like $35,000 to donate a house. So I'm hoping we can at least build one house with the money that we bring in, and so like my biggest thing is, how do we get it out there to more people? So obviously this is a good way, and share it with a bunch of people that you know.
Absolutely, it's gonna be.
What
do you guys think about it?
I'm very excited, and I'm going to deliver upon you the greatest piece of value that I can to the people who attend, because I want to make sure that, everybody, well, certainly, I'm happy that the money's going to charity. And then I also want to make sure that people get as much value as they can out of it. And despite all my smack talk and pink t-shirts, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm really excited to share it with people.
Yeah. Well, Bill, we talked. I was one of the people who mentioned that I wanted to start a live event at some point, and had this excuse where I'm locked in a windowless vault and don't have a life. And I'm really glad that you're excited.
Doing this. Sorry, I've been cutting you off all day.
It's normal. The whole show's used to it. You can go for it.
I'm really excited that you're going to do this. That we switched to virtual, and we're going to do it anyways, because I think it sets a really good statement and a really good stage for next year when it is live, Yeah.
And you mentioned like season 6, right, of the show. And I think that's what we're playing for here too. So definitely here. And, this wasn't something where it's pre-planned, big agenda, stuff like that. Oh, we can't have it. We're not going to make enough money. Let's cancel it. And the big testament to all the speakers too is that I said, hey, we're going to go virtual. You guys still want to do it? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'll still speak. Not a single one of them dropped out. In fact, one of them that actually couldn't make the live event actually said, yeah, I will do it now. I can do it. And I think it also allows for other people to attend that are deployed, that are overseas, that maybe they can't even make those 2 days, but they want to join, get a ticket and grab the recordings afterwards. It gives us the opportunity to do lots of different things. We would have recorded it professionally anyways, and given out the recordings of the live event and stuff. And we've done, my company's done a couple live virtual events, I call them. So there's these live events that we would do live, but we do them in a virtual environment. And we've gotten really good at creating like more of an experience than just a long webinar, a 2-day podcast or something, where we're really going to focus on the experience that the person that's coming has. And we've gotten good at it. And this is going to be another way that we can deliver. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised with what they get from a 2-day virtual event. Because, virtual event sounds like, I'm going to be sitting by my computer watching. not interactive, not an experience, not any of that stuff. And we're going to change how they feel about that at this event. So I'm excited about it. It'll allow us to show like what we can really do too and test us. So
yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
All right. So we've talked about YouTube. We've talked about events, but we haven't talked at all about real estate. So I am going to ask something kind of in that sphere. I guess it's not directly in that sphere, but what do you think is the biggest thing you've learned over the last year with all your growth? Because I know you have essentially replaced yourself for a decent majority at your job, and your business has grown exponentially. So I'm just curious, like, what are some of the biggest lessons you've taken out of everything that you've done over the last year?
People. Like, people are the number one thing. So the only reason that I'm not in the day-to-day operations of my company is because my COO is an absolute amazing individual. He's incredible. And his leadership team, like our sales manager, our marketing director, our lead intake reps, the dispositions manager, everybody on the team, like the leadership team, my CFO, like all of those people are just phenomenal at what they do, and they're truly dedicated to the company. So I think the leadership aspect that we learn in the military, that we see throughout our lives, whether you're a vet, a military person or not, but you're leading yourself on a regular basis. You're leading your mindset, the way that you think, all this, your community, your family, your church group, anything. And to think back, like that's what it's all about, is building a team. I have a bunch of systems and processes and all these things, and people always say, oh, you're the systems guy. Like, what's the system? Give me the system. I'm like, it's the people. It's finding good people, and it's inspiring them and motivating them and casting the vision to them so they can see where they're going and get the buy-in from it. So like, that's the biggest thing for me, is everybody's looking for that like silver bullet. And what it is just surrounding yourself with, and it doesn't have to be full-time staff like I have. It can be contractors. It can be the people that you work with. But, and the first step in all of that, what I've realized is it's your core values. So figure out who you are first, what your strengths and weaknesses are. And then you don't need to go, like Alex is talking about, like, I can't hire a videographer because it's what I love to do. And it's what I'm really good at. And he shouldn't. He should go figure out his weaknesses and hire those things out and like pour into the strengths and make them really, really strong. And that's something that I hear people talk about all the time. It's like, work on your weaknesses. Like, no, don't. Like, forget about them. Like, be okay with having, like, figure out how you can turn that weakness into a strength some other way. And that's delegation. It's elevating and delegating yourself. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is I was afraid to hire that first person. I was deathly afraid of it. And over the last year, I have like 35, 40 people that work for me full time. So in 2 different companies. And so I'm kind of addicted to it. Like, really figuring out how to just move the puzzle pieces, the chess pieces around the board, and get the right people in the right seats when you have that explosive growth. So that's my biggest recommendation is, like, you got to get over that at some point, like bringing in that first person or hiring that person or hiring something out, because there's other people that can do it 10 times better than you.
Your weakness is somebody else's strength. Don't try to be good at what they're good at. Let them do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Dan Sullivan has an awesome concept. It's the who, not the how. And Dave, you probably heard me talk about it. I talked about it at Flip Hacking Live a little bit. But everybody tries to figure out like how to do that. So that's my problem, right? You probably heard that in the beginning. I'm on YouTube trying to figure out like how it works and stuff like that. So I have an engineering background. I like to figure out the way things work. It's a little bit of sometimes the problem that I have. Like I have trouble giving things up. I've learned over time that I need to do that. But instead of figuring out how to do it, what happens is entrepreneurs, they get in this circle. They hit a wall and they say, you know what? I got to figure out how to build a website. So then they spend all this time building a website. Then they have their website up and they're like, okay, now I got to figure out how to drive traffic to my website to get leads. And so then they go figure out how to do that. And eventually they just are like, I'm just not good at this. I can't do it. And they quit, and they walk away, they do something else. But instead of that, if you can figure out what you're really good at and figure out who already knows how to do that. You take the person who knows already knows how to do that. You plug them in. And then the two of you, like, they already know, you're saving time. Like, you can just go, you're going in the same direction. Let them do that stuff. Like, I hate talking on the phone. And when I started driving traffic and leads to my real estate business, I didn't want to send any more mail out or any more marketing because the phone would ring more. And I don't like talking on the phone. When I hired somebody to talk on the phone, I was like, send the mail. Like, I'll dump more money at it. It's working. Dump more money. And then I hated going on the appointments. Like, I hated leaving my family on a Saturday to go sit in somebody's house for 3 hours to tell me they don't know how much their house is worth. And then I give them an offer and they kick me out and say, I'd rather burn my house down for that. And they go out to the porch and they say, that house sold for this, that house sold for this, that house. I was like, you could have saved me 3 hours, dude. This guy just wanted some company. It's like lonely. And I'm leaving my family for 3 hours. So when I hired a sales rep to go into houses and do that, who loved their job, that's what they like to do. They don't mind spending some time with somebody trying to build rapport. Then I said, okay, let's go on all the appointments. Like, I don't care if they want retail. I don't care if they want double retail. Go on the appointments, send them. And that's when the business took off, because I was able to do the things that I'm really good at, which is turning the dials in the back end, like looking at the money, looking at like sending the marketing, doing all that stuff, looking at the KPIs, looking at the numbers. And if you're not good at that stuff, hire somebody to do that and you do the sales side.
I love it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Not that I'm anywhere near that level yet, but I've hired a few virtual assistants that have just the ability to have someone else edit my videos or my podcast. I mean, that saves me 2, 3, 4 hours, everything I do. And it's allowed me to go from 1 or 2 videos a week to right now I'm doing 4. And, it's incredible. And I also do not like the fielding of the phone calls. So, which is funny. I think it's just, I get to me flashbacks from recruiting duty, but it's like, yeah. So, all right. So I do have a few questions that I always ask guests. And the first one is, if an E1, E2 was to walk up to you looking for life advice, what would be the first thing that you would want to tell them?
Get your financial house in order first. Is that short enough for you? Like, I see a lot of E2s, early enlisted folks that will buy that new car or overextend themselves, keep up with the Joneses, really figure out your savings plan, your investment strategy, and figure out like your financial house.
But how can I save and buy a Mustang?
You don't buy a Mustang. Unless, actually, you can buy a Mustang. Buy a 1987, like 2-liter Mustang.
Still
and
find
so
a way
just
to do
don't
30%
like,
interest.
Look, I'd say look around at the people that you want to emulate. And like, the interesting thing is, on the surface, like, everything is not what it seems. So the person who you're sitting next to on an airplane who is dressed, I don't know, like me, t-shirt, shorts, sandals, flip-flops, like Alex, pink shirt, like, they might have $10 million in the bank. Like that's the kind, like, go read The Millionaire Next Door and just execute on that. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, stop chasing the consumer as a dream, like wearing fancy clothes and a nice car. It's like those people now, I know that I'm painting with a broad brush, but I've been in finance and consumer and commercial lending for a very long time. The people who are the flashiest are generally in the worst shape. Or I wouldn't say the worst shape, but it's not, the flashiness far exceeds what they really have, in my experience. And like you said, the guy who dresses with the pink shirt, right? It's like that guy has his stuff together. I mean, just, for an example.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So if you had to recommend, like what resource, whether that's a book, course, website, would you recommend anyone looking to get started in real estate?
It's hard. Like, here's my recommendation for this. Everybody seems to start like in the same place. Part of the reason why I wanted to put this Veterans REI Live event together was because I don't think you need to start in one place. Like, I don't think you need to start as a wholesaler. I don't think you need to start as a flipper. I don't think you need to start with the same book. I don't think you need to start with the same course. Like, I'm really big on personal development. I read a lot, but I used to try to read 50 books a year. And that was like a goal for me, because I saw somebody else do it and I was like, oh, they read 50 books a year. They got to be really smart. Or CEOs read all these books. And I did that for 2 years. And I was getting some nuggets, but I wasn't implementing anything. And what it was doing is causing confusion for me. Like, I wasn't focused. It was giving me, like, I have too many ideas, and I a lot of times I have trouble filtering them down and focusing on them. And so what now I tell people is, go figure out like what you need now. What do you need today to move forward? And go do that. Like, read that book, follow that person, and look for somebody that you relate to, that you can kind of you could follow. Like, they have your core values, you're attracted to them, their values, those kind of things, and follow them. Like, listen to what they say, do what they say. And that's what I did. I lucked out and to drop into the right group around the right people from the start, the very first. But you can start with commercial real estate. You can start with mobile home parks. You can start flipping. You can start wholesaling. You can start as a landlord. You can start lending money. You can start there. Like, you don't have to start like here at the bottom and say, I got to start as a wholesaler. Everybody's like, oh, start wholesaling because it doesn't take any money. Well, I have plenty of thoughts on that too. So as like a volume wholesaler that we do $3 million or more in profit per year, like I know what it takes to do it right. And so I got a lot of feelings on that. I'd say like there's very specific books that I would recommend for very specific areas and places, but just go find your world, like find your tribe, find your community, listen to a bunch of stuff in the beginning, like take in a bunch of information and say, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in that. My recommendation is come to our event. Come to Veterans REI Live, because you will hear 20 different people tell their story, their niche, and you'll say, it's like a job fair. It's a career fair for real estate investors or potential real estate investors. And they say, oh, I can do that. Like I have that skill set. Like Alex said, that's my strengths. I'm going to go do that. So I've never seen an event like that before. Everybody's like, oh, I got to spend a bunch of money to go to this multifamily event. I got to spend a bunch of money to go to this real estate event or the flipping event or the wholesaling event. So, I mean, obviously I'm really proud of the stuff that we put out, but it's not for everybody. It's not. And I know that everybody's got their own community. Go find the place that you like, find your tribe and just go all in there. Go all in there.
I love it. Oh, and for the record, for those of you listening, it's not just for veterans. You can go to the event if you're not a veteran. So, although most of you listening to this are veterans, so it's probably pointless for me to say. That being said, Bill, where can people get a hold of you? What's the best of the social platforms you're experimenting with?
Well, the interesting thing is people that are watching this are probably on YouTube. So you can go to our YouTube channel, a 7-figure flipping YouTube channel. So you can subscribe there. You can watch our show, this 7-day flip series that we have coming out. Everybody's got their own place. That's the thing. Like everybody's got their own world that they live in, right? If they're on Facebook, we got a Facebook group, if you're a 7-figure flipping group. If you go to a website, 7-figure flipping will show you all that stuff. Instagram, obviously, I've been trying to give a shout out for that for me because I don't have any friends. So I'm Bill Allen REI on there. So at Bill Allen REI, I'll be testing. You'll see, I'm testing a lot of stuff. Alex, you might like it. I just put up a bunch of pictures of my trip to Africa last year. Some awesome photography. So if you like photography, I was like, let me try and see what like these pictures of the safari are like. You know, are people going to respond to this? Like, what's it like? What's the hashtags that I can play with and use and bring in some people that might want to follow me? So. Yeah, and I have a podcast, 7-figure flipping podcast. That's what I'm probably most proud of. That's where I spend most of my time. And we've had some awesome guests on there.
Yeah, you have. You definitely have. And I'll be sure to tag your Instagram in this when it comes out. Try to give you some of them followers.
Give me some friends. I need some friends. I don't have any friends.
Oh man.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say is we haven't mentioned like how to get tickets at Veterans REI Live. So you can go to veteranslive.com. So veteranslive.com and grab your tickets there. So hopefully you hung out till the end of the show.
Well, I mentioned in the intro that it'll be in the show notes. So
nice.
you're good. So awesome. Bill, thank you very much for joining us. It is always a pleasure.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm excited about this event. I'm excited to see you guys. I'm most excited to take notes from both of you guys because I'm sure that you're going to share some stuff that I don't know, and I'm going to be a learner on that thing. I'll be emceeing it. I'll be running it, but my iPad's going to be full of notes from that. I'm sure.
Thank you for listening to another episode about my journey from military to millionaire. If you liked it, be sure to visit FromMilitaryToMillionaire.com/podcast to subscribe to future podcasts. While you're there, we'd love for you to rate the show, give us a review on iTunes. Now get out there and take action.